For more than 3 decades, this case sat in a file drawer forgotten by most, but not by everyone. A father shot and left dead in his own home, no arrests, no answers, no justice. But in 2025, something changed. What was once a footnote in police records suddenly exploded back into life and led to 2 arrests that stunned a community and brought a 32-year-old mystery hurtling into a courtroom. This isn't just another cold case, this is the story of how justice, no matter how delayed, refuses to die. In the summer of 1993, 30-year-old Zachary Jackson was living in unincorporated Hayward, near the heart of California's East Bay. A native of Modesto, he was a young father with 2 children, a 4-year-old daughter and a 1-year-old son. He wasn't a stranger to stress. Like so many in his position, Zachary balanced work, family obligations, and the challenges that come with raising children at a young age. But to everyone who knew him, Jackson was trying his best, hardworking, dedicated, and deeply attached to his kids. On June 17, 1993, Zachary was found shot to death inside his own home by a family member who had grown worried after not hearing from him. Though the exact date of the killing is believed to have been a few days earlier, possibly around June 14, it wasn't until several days later that his body was discovered. Law enforcement arrived to a grim scene. There were no clear eyewitnesses, no obvious suspects, and little to connect anyone directly to the crime. At the time, investigators pursued leads, but in an era before widespread DNA databases, cell phone records, and modern surveillance, the raw evidence wasn't enough to point them toward those responsible. The early investigation focused on interviews and witness accounts. The victim's ex-partner, Veronica Fonseca, was interviewed multiple times, but investigators said there was nothing at the time indicating her direct involvement. And that was where the trail went cold. For more than 30 years, the case went unsolved, files sat in drawers, witnesses faded from memory, evidence gathered dust. But while the public moved on, a select group of detectives never did. Why was the case unsolved? Cold cases often linger because police lack the tools to build a prosecutable case. In 1993, investigators didn't have advanced DNA technology, digital databases, cell phone location logs, social media footprints. Instead, they relied on traditional interviews and physical evidence, and with no clear leads, the case slowly sank into obscurity. But one fact never changed. Murder has no statute of limitations. Decades may pass, but suspects alive or dead can still be brought to justice. Around the country, cold case units quietly wrestle with old files, some from the 1960s, others from the late 20th century. Every few years, a new technology breakthrough or tip from the public can reignite an old investigation. In late October 2025, the Alameda County Sheriff's Office Cold Case Unit reopened Jackson's murder after the discovery of new evidence and fresh leads. Detective Patrick Smith and his team began re-interviewing people, some located across the country, and calling once quiet witnesses back into the investigation. Anonymous tips began to flow in, offering details that hadn't been shared decades earlier. These weren't detectives just hoping for answers. For Jackson's family, these were answers they'd waited more than a generation to hear. Re-examining the timeline, detectives discovered that 2 individuals both connected to the victim in 1993 had never been fully investigated at the time. One was Veronica Fonseca, Zachary's former partner and the mother of his 2 children. The other was Anthony James Fox, a man Fonseca was dating at the time of the murder. Based on witness recollections, fresh testimony, and the new evidence obtained by the sheriff's office, a warrant was issued. And on November 6, 2025, Fonseca, 54, was arrested at her home in Queens, New York by the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force. Fox, 56, was apprehended in Sioux City, Iowa by local law enforcement. Both were charged with murder and burglary, and both were awaiting extradition to California. Detectives publicly stated that while both were present during the killing, Fox is alleged to have pulled the trigger. At a press conference, investigators emphasized a critical point. This was not just a crime scene, it was a family. Justice delayed wasn't justice denied. Sheriff's Detective Smith said simply, "There is no statute of limitations on murder. You never know when the long arm of the law is gonna reach out and touch you." For Jackson's surviving family members, now adults themselves, the news was a mix of relief and heartbreak. They finally had names, but the cost had been steep and the weight unbearable. The murder of Zachary Jackson teaches us several hard truths about justice, memory, and time. Cold cases can be solved, even decades later. Modern investigative tools make the impossible possible. Public cooperation matters. Witnesses who once stayed quiet sometimes speak up years later. And perhaps most importantly, no victim is ever forgotten when someone chooses to keep looking. In a world filled with unsolved mysteries and cold files, the case of Zachary Jackson stands as a reminder. Justice may be slow, but it can arrive at last. For 32 years, Zachary Jackson's name sat in silence. Tonight, it doesn't. If you believe no family should wait decades for answers. If you believe cold cases deserve attention, subscribe to Crime Depth TV. Because somewhere right now, another case is waiting. And sometimes, all it takes is someone refusing to forget.